Hello, 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 everyone. My name is Dr. Rowena Winkler, and welcome to Revelations with Rowena. This is my very first show, session, space together, however you want to call it. And every Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern, I'm going to sit down and chat with you about a number of different things, whatever comes to mind, whatever is going to help all of us on our journey using a lot of the spiritual practices that I've come to grow and love, and how we can use that to create tangible actionable steps, to find who you are and to step into your own authentic power and purpose. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Dr. Rowena Winkler, and I'm not going to get too into my story and intro, because I'm gonna take this first live to give you a little, I don't know, a little story peek at who I am and how I've come here today before you, on this live stream. One thing I will say is that I was a little nervous doing this. I will say that even though I am a theater performer, I think it's different coming here as you. When I took public speaking classes back in undergrad, I had the most challenging time coming up in front of my peers and classmates and just speaking as me. But one of my goals in 2021 is to be courageous, to be daring greatly, as Dr. Brene Brown says, and to find ways to share my story and my vision through podcasts and events and this live show, right? That we're going to be doing every week moving forward. So, uh, if I fumble, I am a former public speaker, but I'm even catching my own verbal fillers. Please bear with me, and I appreciate those of you who have come to join me today. So for today's show, I guess we're gonna call this a show, right? For today's show, I was trying to figure out how was I going to open up this session, this show of Revelations with Rowena? And I did want to share my story, but I wasn't quite sure how I was going to do it. And it came to me this morning. I felt called to pull from my tarot deck. And the deck that I have been using most recently is called Next World Tarot by Christy C. Rode. Uh, she did not pay me to say this, but I actually grabbed this deck from Lindsay Mack's Tarot for the Soul course, which I have been engaging with. And you'll see, I'll show you the cards as I go through them. They're just beautiful, and the messages are very social justice oriented, which your girl is here for. And so when I did these pulls this morning, I was like, that's it. This is how I'm going to share my story today. And so let's go ahead and get started. So, a little bit about me. I am Filipino American. I was born here in the States in Philadelphia. My parents came here from the Philippines, and I grew up a very curious and very extroverted child. I'm still an extroverted adult, so that hasn't really changed, but I was always a performer. I always wanted to sing and dance and share my talents. And I also was such a learner. I loved reading books. I was one of those people, even up till high school and college, I would do my work right away. I'd write papers 2 weeks ahead of time. So I always was very scholarly, but also very creative. So I always had these like left side, right side of brain moments where I would have this logical way, organizational way of doing things, but also I would want to do it in a creative way, whether that's through performance, through my writing, et cetera, et cetera. And so, growing up, for those of you who are also immigrant children that can relate to this, I put a lot of pressure on myself. My parents, put pressure on me to perform. And so I did academically. And so I went to college and got my bachelor's in communication studies. And then I went off to the University of Maryland, where I got my master's and then my PhD. And so the first card that I drew was the magician. And, you know, the magician is that Mercury, that earth, that trying to soak up that knowledge. And so that's what I did. I was on this journey to be this scholar, to be this academic. I was, quote unquote a rock star in my field where I did research projects and I was this teacher. I won awards in my academic career, but a couple of things happened, right? So, in my first year of my first academic tenure track professor job, my father passed away from cancer. And for those of you out there who have lost someone who's very close to you, whether that's a parent or a loved one, you'll understand that when my dad passed away, it really was a game changer. It shook me to my core. It changed my way of thinking. It made me think of my legacy and who I am and who did I want to be. And at that point in time, I did not like who I was. I was stressed out to the max. I was, I had kidney stones in my first year because I was working so hard, and I felt like I was spread too thin. And as an academic, you want to get tenure, right? That's what you're moving toward in the academic space. But for me, it felt like it was this impossible feat because there was always something more that you had to do to get tenure. And for me, I sacrificed my mental health and my physical health to try to get there. And when my dad died from cancer, it was like I had this light bulb go off as to, wait a second, is my mental health and my physical health worth this? Thinking about my father who passed away, right? So I decided, like, I couldn't do this anymore. And as you know, I'm an astrologer, or if you don't know, I'm an astrologer. And that was also during my Saturn return. So a brief primer on that is, around your 30th birthday, Saturn comes around, and that planet, that energy is actually a father figure. Wow, that's an aha that I just realized. My father passed away, and then this Saturn, this father disciplinarian planet comes through and essentially knocked me out on my feet and made me question my path and my journey and what I was doing. And so I I decided to leave, and I didn't have a plan. And for those of you who know me well, you know that Rowena Winkler does not do well with no plans. The uncertainty was real. I was terrified. I didn't know what I was going to do because I thought I was going to be a professor for the rest of my life. I was going to get tenure, and that this was it. And so when I decided to walk away, it was so challenging. I really struggled with that. But I knew that if I didn't, I was going to regret it. And so I left the academy. But before completely stepping out, I did work in an administrative role and tried that. I was like, maybe it's not so much professor, maybe it's an administrator role. And I said, nope, don't like that either. And so from that, let's move on. Let me just make sure I got my notes here. Yes, yes, yes. So then from that moment, we get into the next card pull that I had this morning, which was the Ace of Pentacles, which is the roots of the earth. And this is where, according to this card and pentacles, a lot of people associate it with the tangible, with money and resources, in that sense. And sure, in a way, but also for me, it was finding the worth and value in my work. And that if being a professor wasn't going to be an alignment for me, that was okay. And so that's when I walked away completely. And I walked into my first industry job, which was in communication, in marketing. And so I stepped into that space. It was an interesting transition because for me, and if you follow me on Instagram, I just recently posted about this. I had no confidence whatsoever, really. I was walking in here saying, "Who am I? Who am I this person who was this academic who didn't have a full-time industry job?" I had internships and I did some work, on the side in communication, but I hadn't had a full-time 9 to 5 job. It was the first time after being an academic. And I had to build that confidence. And I posted about this. My mentor, Suzanne Carbonero, she helped me with that. It's a reframing. And that's what I do with my clients is how can we reframe your skill set on your CV to something that is of value to organizations? Because our skill sets don't exist in a vacuum. If you're an academic watching this and you're in that same boat as I was and wondering, what am I going to do? How am I going to find that first industry job outside of academia? I'm here to tell you that you can do it and that you can, find that magic in what you offer in this energy that you provide, in the skills, in the because you are unique. And I had to realize that even though in a traditional sense, unlike my peers who like rose up the corporate ladder in their communication and marketing experience, I did have something of value to bring to the organization. And I harnessed that in my time in my first industry job. I used the fact that I was a public speaking teacher and I used it to coach the executives in my organization. So we had this huge event. I was able to coach these engineers and these folks who were more on the technical side of things. And gosh, that transformation was amazing to see them go up on stage and use their voice and be able to explain what they have created for our customers. So that was really fulfilling. And so that was the next part of my journey where I was able to understand that no, Rowena, you can do more than just academia. You have always been good about learning and school. I love school, but you can translate that into a corporate environment. And here's the thing, folks, even if you're out of academia, obviously you're still learning. I learned processes, I learned tools, I learned how to work with other human beings, right? Because we're all not the same in terms of our communication styles, in terms of our work, our preferred way to communicate at work, our preferred way to collaborate. And so these were all lessons that I learned. So then that was also the time when I started looking into building an astrology business or an astrology offering to friends, because I was always that friend. I'm sure you all have that friend. I was that friend who you would ask, Rowena, my boyfriend, my partner, or I'm a Capricorn sun. What does that mean? I was that person who, when someone would be like, Rowena, what's this Mercury retrograde thing? And I would tell them. It got to the point where at my job we had a whiteboard for my team and I would start writing, astrology of the day. And so I was realizing, oh hey, I actually am interested in this and doing more of this. I'd been studying astrology for several years at that point. And so I was like, okay, maybe I should move into doing some readings and whatnot, right? So then I did that. And the other milestone, so I mentioned my father passing away during my Saturn return. The other big thing that happened on this journey for me was having my daughter. So I was pregnant, and a lot of you who are friends know that we went through in vitro fertilization to have my daughter. So we had been trying to get pregnant and it wasn't happening. And it was very challenging and emotional and frustrating and sad. But we were able to successfully conceive. And so through that technology, so thank goodness for the technology. And when I was pregnant, I had another realization, right? So it's these big milestones that happen. And here's the thing, friends, something that I've realized on my journey in my life is that things happen in this divine timing because it's supposed to teach you these lessons, right? And I reflect on this now. I feel like my whole life as an overachieving, motivated person, everything I've wanted, I would work hard and get it, right? I would check off the box and there it was. I would, do the thing and then I'd get the thing. Well, that was not the case with getting pregnant. I did the things and it wasn't happening. I took care of myself and my body and it wasn't working. And so it was a lesson for me to submit a bit. You know what I mean? To really think about the things that are out of your control. And now that I'm a mom, goodness, that was such a good lesson to learn that not everything is in your control and you can, obviously you can manifest and there are things that you can bring into your life and bring into your space, but sometimes the universe is like, "Mm-mm, no, thank you. We're gonna like do it this way so that you can learn from that." And so when I was pregnant with my daughter, I decided to leave that first industry job and I moved into my current 9 to 5 position, which is working for a digital marketing agency. I have amazing colleagues and I am again learning and doing the things and getting a lot out of it. But then COVID, COVID became a thing and my therapist has said it before that the past year, at the time of this recording and during COVID, it was a retreat for all of us. It was a time where, especially for if you're like me and have to be hustling, and I'm originally from New Jersey, as I said. So I was always like going to the next thing. And my husband and I, our calendars were always so packed, jam packed with all the things. That was not a thing anymore, right? We weren't going anywhere. We had to be in our spaces and I don't know about y'all, but I went inward and was like, okay, now what? I am this mom. It was wonderful. And the fact that I was able to spend so much time with my daughter was so beautiful. But I was still having this inkling like, I need to be, there's something else. I need to be doing more. And so the next card draw from that is the Knight of Pentacles, the methodical approach. And this this here is where the openness and the patience come into play, right? So in 2021, I stumbled across Clubhouse. And for those of you who are not on Clubhouse and have an iPhone, hit me up and I'll send you an invite. It was interesting given that we're in the age of Aquarius, which that energy is all about innovation and out of the box thinking and technology. And here comes this audio only social app to to bring me that community that I missed so much. Again, I loved having that much time with my daughter, but as you know, without your tribe because of this pandemic, it's very challenging. And I needed community. I wanted to connect with people. As I said, I am an extrovert and I think my superpower is creating some of those connections. And if you need something, finding, me being like, "Oh, hey, I know someone here," right? So, on Clubhouse, I realized that I am a multi hyphenate human. What does that mean? I'm not just a scholar, a teacher. I'm not just a theater performer. I'm not just a mommy. I am all of these things. I am this round table of all these roles that I play. And for so long, I was compartmentalizing those different roles and who I was. And so I decided through these conversations on Clubhouse that I don't need to brand myself as astrologer. Dr. Rowena Winkler, astrologer. Dr. Rowena Winkler, professor. Dr. Rowena Winkler, marketing professional. And so I worked with my friend Amanda Gobati. She started an agency called Brand Like Hers. I'm giving them a plug here because their mission is just that. Us as, you know, the agency serves women. So as women, we may evolve. We may, and just hearing me speak for 20 minutes about my story, my journey, I have gone through an evolution of who I was and who I wanted to be. And that's still changing. I'm still learning, I'm still growing. And so their mission is helping women in terms of their brand to not have these little pigeonholes per se, right? We're not going to put ourselves in these boxes. How can we take your brand to this level of, as you change and grow and evolve, that your brand will grow with you? And so I worked with them. I did a rebrand. I originally was just an astrologer providing readings, but I realized in this internal retreat of COVID-19 that the way I approached astrology readings was more so like, it was more from, I think I was using my professor teacher hat. It was more of this mentoring. It was more of this using astrology as a way to tap in and learn and unpack. And so I asked a lot of questions. I dug into your natal chart and I wanted to have this exploration together, right? So I realized that through these modalities such as astrology, and now I'm getting really into human design thanks to some friends on Clubhouse, and through the spiritual practices of manifestation and whatnot, that I can use those modalities to coach. And so I did a rebrand of not of, it wasn't Journey to Consciousness, which was my astrology brand. It's Rowena Winkler. It's me. I'm on this journey to consciousness. I want to help others on their journey to consciousness. And so my new brand is rowenawinkler.com. I am a cosmic catalyst coach and a realignment strategist. Now, what the heck does that mean? You may ask. The cosmic catalyst, I will help you ignite your power, your passion, your purpose through those means that I mentioned. And through my experiences as a marketing professional, a strategist, a a a career counselor and coach for my students all those years, let's take what's coming out of these modalities and use it to create an action plan for how you, women, I serve women primarily, uh, how we can use it to cultivate what you're meant to do here on this planet Earth. That is what I came up with the help of my coaches, with the help of my mentors, with the help of the folks I've talked to about this on Clubhouse. I realized that my mission in this life is to, I really am, I want to be here to serve. I want to help other women who may feel stuck, who may feel that they're just a mom and it's a lot, or they want to transition careers and not quite sure, who want to also leave academia because of the things I may have mentioned at the start of this session, but don't know where to go. Because for me in those moments, I went through the use of the cards, my journey. In those moments, I wonder and think, and again, I did mention the divine timing, but if I had an accountability partner, if I had a coach or someone who could be there for me and say, "Hey Rowena, maybe you should try this thing," or "Hey Rowena, maybe this practice can help you because it helped me." That's what I want to be in this coaching business. I want to be that accountability partner. I want to be that catalyst to ignite you and empower you to courageously move forward into your soul aligned purpose. To be able to find that connection with spirit and with who you are at your divine essence, and be able to move proudly forward in that, right? And so that is my mission. And the last card that I will share, you know, in this journey, the King of Cups, the throne of movement. So here's where we are. This is what this first live of many lives is. This is me hereby giving Dr. Rowena Winkler permission to sit on that throne of movement and move forward to help you move forward. And what is interesting about the King of Cups is, cups is water. I'm a Pisces sun. I have water in my chart. I'm an emotional human. I'm working on harnessing that in a more productive way. But what I will say is what the King of Cups tells us is there is an intellect and there is an emotion that's tied to this moving forward. And if anything, the through line of my story has been that I talked about this even as a child. I had my emotional, creative, feely side, but I also was very logical, rational, organizational. I It's probably because of my Capricorn rising and my Taurus moon, I got that grounding there. Definitely more the Capricorn. But with that said, I want to use these gifts and talents in these sides of me, intersect them, and then use it to serve all of you. So that's my very, maybe not very, a little long winded way of talking about who I am, how I've come to be here, how I've engaged in these practices, astrology, tarot, oracle readings, crystals. It's been fun and it's been a great learning experience. But now I feel primed, prepped, and ready to take it to the next level. And that means sharing these gifts with the world and making an impact in people's lives. So that's my revelation for today. My revelation is everything that has happened on my journey, even those challenging, difficult times, brought me to this moment, brought me to this platform, this stage, these lives, these things that are to come that I know will come, for you to see me show up here as who I am, verbal fillers and all, to make a difference. That's always been something that was very important to me. And as I mentioned, my father passing away really brought that up in full force. Because when I no longer am on this earth, when I leave my physical body, I want to know that I left a legacy of love, of passion, of discernment, of authenticity, of unapologetic voices of those that I've served. Whew, that was a lot. Hopefully, this worked because, as I mentioned, this is my first one. But anyway, there will be more. And as I said in my initial post, there may be some special friends and guests. And I will say, since this was my first session and since there will be many more, if there is a particular topic, if you have a question, if you have something on your heart that I could possibly speak to, or bring a friend on here with me that can also speak to that, please let me know. But in the meantime, thanks for watching. I will see you next week, and take care of yourselves and each other, because the time is now to get things moving. All right. I'm Dr. Rowena Winkler, and I'll see you next time. Thanks so much.